The message came on a Tuesday. Commander Ta Kim stood frozen before the main screen in Earth's central communication hub. His hands trembled slightly as he read the alien text, now translated into Earth's languages. Surrender or be conquered. Just 5 words. 5 words that changed everything. Te rubbed his tired eyes. For 3 days, his team had worked non-stop to decode the strange signal from deep space. Now he wished they hadn't succeeded. "Get me General Kim," he ordered, his voice steady despite his racing heart. 10 minutes later, General Su Kim walked into the room. Her uniform was perfect, her face calm. No one would guess she had been woken from her first sleep in 48 hours. "Commander," she said, nodding to her husband. At work, they were not married. They were soldiers. "General, you need to see this." Ta pointed to the screen. Su read the message twice. Then she looked at the data below it. The size of the approaching ships, their speed, their weapons. "How long do we have?" she asked. 3 days, maybe 4, said Ta. Su did not look surprised. This shocked Ta more than the alien message. His wife looked as if she had been waiting for this moment. "You knew," he said softly. "I suspected," she corrected. "Those signals we found 5 years ago near Saturn, the ones nobody believed were important. I've been preparing since then." Tai remembered how everyone had laughed at Su's alien theory, how the military had almost fired her, how their friends had stopped inviting them to parties. "Who are they?" he asked. "They call themselves the Voidborn," Su said. "From what we can tell, they evolved on a planet with very little water and almost no mountains. Their world is flat, rocky, and has stronger gravity than Earth." "How do you know this?" "I've had a small team studying the signals in secret. The Voidborn have been broadcasting for years. They just weren't talking to us yet." An alarm sounded from one of the computers. A young officer looked up with wide eyes. "Commander General, we're detecting objects entering our solar system. Hundreds of them." Tai and Su moved to the radar screen. The objects were moving fast, bypassing the outer planets. "They're not stopping to explore," Ta noted. "This isn't a scientific mission." "No," Su agreed. "It's an invasion." Within an hour, the world's leaders had gathered in an emergency video meeting. Panic filled their faces as Su presented what little they knew about the Voidborn. "They're highly advanced," she explained. "Their technology is at least a century beyond ours. They've mastered AI and robotics. From their communications, we believe they use machines to do their fighting." "Machines?" the President of the United States asked. "You mean robots." "Advanced combat units," Su corrected. "Semi-sentient but without pilots. The Voidborn themselves may not even be on those ships." "What chance do we have against that kind of technology?" asked the Premier of China. Su straightened her shoulders. "We fight." "With what?" Someone shouted. "Our weapons are nothing compared to theirs." "We have something they don't," Su said quietly. "Earth itself. Our planet is unlike theirs. We have oceans, mountains, forests, deserts, environments their machines may not be designed for." Ta watched his wife with pride and fear. He knew that look in her eyes. Su had a plan. "I need full command of all Earth's military forces," she said. "And I need everyone to trust me, even when my orders seem strange." The room fell silent. "Does anyone have a better idea?" Tai asked. No one spoke. Outside, in the clear night sky, the first of the Voidborn ships became visible, a small dot of light moving against the stars. Soon, there would be hundreds more. The invasion had begun. The sky burned red on the day they came. Lieutenant Hanpark crouched behind a flipped car in what used to be downtown Seoul. Sweat ran down his face as he checked his rifle's ammunition. 5 shots left. Not enough. "Status report," he whispered into his radio. Static answered him. His squad, 12 good soldiers, had fallen silent one by one over the past hour. Han peeked over the car. The machine that hunted him stood 20 feet tall, walking on four spider-like legs. Its metal body gleamed in the morning sun. Where a head should be, it had only sensors and a rotating gun. 3 days. That's all it had taken for the world to fall into chaos. The void-born ships had entered Earth's atmosphere without slowing down. They dropped thousands of machines over every major city before moving on. The machines came in many shapes and sizes. Some flew, some rolled, some walked, all killed. Regular guns barely hurt them. Tanks slowed them down but didn't stop them. Only the biggest missiles seemed to work, and those destroyed the very cities they were trying to save. Han ducked as the machine fired at his position. Concrete bits showered over him as bullets hit the car. "Come on, think," he muttered to himself. His radio crackled. "Any survivors from Squad 7, head to Extraction Point Delta." Repeat, "Any survivors head to Extraction Point Delta." Han knew Delta was in the mountains east of the city, at least 10 miles away. With machines patrolling every street, he might as well be trying to reach the moon. But staying meant death. When the machine turned away, Han ran. He sprinted from car to building to alley, staying low. Twice he froze as machines passed nearby. Once he had to hide under a dead body when flying drones searched the area. By sunset, the city was behind him. Han climbed steadily up forest paths, his legs burning. The sounds of destruction grew distant. At Delta Point, a small military base hidden in the mountains, he found 30 soldiers, just 30 from the thousands who had been in Seoul. "Lieutenant Park," Captain Dong greeted him. "Glad you made it." "My squad?" Han asked, though he knew the answer. "You're the only one who reached us." Han nodded quietly and joined the others around a map table. "The machines control the cities," Captain Dong explained, "but they're moving slower in rough terrain. The mountains, forests, and river valleys are giving them trouble." "I noticed that," Han said. "The big walker that chased me kept stumbling on rubble and stairs, and when I ran through the stream in the park, it wouldn't follow." Another soldier spoke up. "Same in my sector. The flying ones lose tracking in heavy rain or fog." Captain Dong marked these observations on the map. "Their technology is advanced, but it seems designed for different conditions. The Voidborn's homeworld is nothing like Earth." "So what do we do?" someone asked. "We've received orders from General Kim. All surviving forces are to avoid direct combat and gather data on machine weaknesses." Han looked at the map. Red marks showed machine-controlled areas, almost all flat land and cities. Green showed safer zones, mountains, dense forests, swamps. "Has anyone tried horses?" Han asked suddenly. Everyone stared at him. "I grew up on a farm," he explained. "Horses can go places vehicles can't. They're quiet, need no fuel, and can sense danger before humans can. Horses against war machines." Someone scoffed. "Are you serious?" Before Han could answer, the radio crackled again. "All units," came General Soo Kim's voice. "I need reports on machine performance in varied terrain, and I need volunteers with riding experience. Repeat, I need soldiers who can ride horses." The room fell silent. Captain Dong looked at Han with new interest. "Seems someone else had your idea, Lieutenant. The General wants riders." Han felt a small spark of hope for the first time since the invasion began. "Maybe we have a chance after all," he said quietly. General Soo Kim stood before the last military leaders of Earth. They met in a bunker deep under the Rocky Mountains. Maps covered the walls showing red zones where machines controlled the land. "Too much red. Our conventional forces are failing," Soo said. "We've lost 60% of our troops and 80% of our equipment." "Then we've lost the war," said the American general. "No," Soo replied firmly. "We've lost the battle we expected to fight. Now we must fight a different battle." She pressed a button, and the screen behind her lit up. It showed footage from around the world. Machines struggling in deep snow, getting stuck in mud, losing balance on steep hills. The Voidborn come from a world with little water and flat terrain. Their machines were built for those conditions, not Earth's varied environments. Lieutenant Han Park sat quietly at the back of the room. 3 days ago, Captain Dong had sent him here. Han didn't know why he was invited to this high-level meeting. We need to use Earth itself as a weapon, Su continued. We need fighters who can move quickly through difficult terrain, who can strike and disappear, who don't rely on the technology the Voidborn can track. Guerrilla warfare, asked the Chinese general. Something older, Su said. Colonel Zhu, please come in. The door opened. A man in his 50s entered. His uniform had a patch showing a horse and rider. This is Colonel Zhu Choi. Su introduced him. Until last year, he led the 9th Mounted Special Operations Division. Murmurs filled the room. Everyone knew about the 9th Division. It had been a controversial program, training soldiers to fight on horseback with modern weapons. Many had called it a waste of money. The program was shut down. Colonel Choi, Su said, tell them what your riders can do. Zhu stepped forward. His voice was deep and calm. Horses can cross terrain that stops machines and vehicles. They make almost no electronic signature. They can run up to 30 miles per day through forests, mountains, and shallow water. They can sense danger before humans can, and they need only grass and water to keep going. You want us to fight space invaders with horses? The European general laughed. This is madness. No, Su said. This is adaptation. The Voidborn expect us to fight like them, with technology. They don't understand our planet or our history. She turned to Han. Lieutenant Park, please share your observations from Seoul. Han stood, surprised to be called on. The machines I encountered moved well on flat ground but struggled with stairs, debris, and running water. They seem programmed for specific terrain types and get confused when conditions change quickly. Thank you, Lieutenant, Su said. She faced the other leaders again. The Voidborn sent machines. I propose we send riders. Even if this could work, said the Russian general, where would we get enough horses or trained riders? There are still millions of horses on farms and ranches, Colonel Zhu said, and many soldiers grew up riding. Like Lieutenant Park. All eyes turned to Han. I grew up on a horse farm, Han admitted. I can ride since I was 4 years old. Su nodded. We already have 5,000 volunteers with riding experience. Colonel Choi will train them. We'll outfit them with portable EMP weapons and communication systems that the machines can't detect. This is our one advantage, Zhu added. The Voidborn won't expect this strategy. Their machines aren't programmed to fight an enemy that moves like we will. The room fell silent as everyone considered the plan. Finally, the American general spoke. It sounds crazy enough that it might just work. What do you need from us? Authorization to gather all suitable horses, Su said. Access to specific weapons and time to train our riders. One by one, the leaders nodded their agreement. Han felt a strange mix of fear and hope. They were going to fight the most advanced enemy in history with one of Earth's oldest weapons, the horse and rider. The mountain camp buzzed with activity. 500 men and women worked with horses in the Wye Valley. Some were skilled riders already. Others had never sat on a horse before. All were learning to become warriors. Han Park led a group of 20 riders through forest paths. His dark bay horse, Thunder, moved easily under him. After 2 weeks of training, Han had been made a team leader. Keep your horses quiet, he called softly to his team. Remember, sound discipline is life. They practiced moving through trees without making noise. The riders wore special boots that dampened the sound of hooves on hard ground. Their saddles were wrapped to prevent creaking. From a hill above, Colonel Zhu watched the training with Min Lee, a woman in her 30s who had once been Korea's top equestrian rider. Han has natural talent, Min said. His team is the best so far. Zhu nodded. He understands what we're doing. It's not just about riding. It's about thinking differently than the machines. In another area, A gruff older man named Young Bai taught riders how to set charges. Young had been an explosives expert for 20 years. Small but powerful, he explained, showing them a device the size of an egg. This EMP charge will shut down any machine within 10 meters. Plant it, set the timer, and be gone before it blows. The riders practiced placing charges while riding past targets at full gallop. It was hard work. Many fell. All got back up. Near the camp center, a quiet man named Ji Kang worked in a tent full of equipment. Ji had been a hacker before the invasion. Now he developed special communication systems for the riders. The Voidborn can detect regular radio signals, he told the officers visiting his tent. But these new devices use Earth's magnetic field to carry messages. The machines can't detect them because they're looking for electronic signals, not magnetic ones. Han brought his team back to camp as the sun set. He saw a woman he didn't know talking with Colonel Ju. She wore a lab coat over riding clothes. Lieutenant Park, Ju called him over. Meet Dr. Hana Yu. She's been studying the machine remains we've recovered. Hana nodded to Han. Your observations from Seoul were very helpful, Lieutenant. Thank you, Han said, surprised. Have you learned anything useful? The machines are smart but not creative, Hana explained. They follow programming based on conditions from the Voidborn world. They're learning to adapt to Earth, but slowly. How slowly? Han asked. It takes about 3 days for them to create new protocols after encountering something new, Hana said. That's our window for using any tactic, 3 days before they adjust. Colonel Ju looked at Han. That's why we're training 20 different attack methods. We'll keep changing before they can adapt. That night, the core team gathered in Ju's command tent. Han, Min, Young, Ji, and Hana. General Su joined by secure video link. The machines are concentrating forces here. Su pointed to a map showing the Ural Mountains. They're building something big, possibly a command center. We need to know what it is. My team is ready, Han said. We can scout the area. Not just scout, Su said. If it is a command center, we need to destroy it. This will be our first real mission. Colonel Ju studied the terrain on the map. The mountains provide good cover. There are valleys we can use to approach unseen. My EMP charges will work, Young added, if we can get close enough. When do we leave? Min asked. Tomorrow, Su said. This is what we've been training for. The first riders against the machines. Han felt his heart beat faster. After weeks of training, they would finally face the enemy. We won't fail, he promised. As the meeting ended, Hana touched his arm. Be careful out there, Lieutenant. We're all counting on you. Han nodded. The weight of their mission settled on his shoulders. The fate of humanity might depend on horses and riders. Dawn painted the Ural Mountains gold. Han Park lay flat on his stomach at the edge of a cliff. Through binoculars, he watched the valley below. The Voidborn had built something massive there. Metal structures rose from the ground. Machines moved like ants around them, carrying parts and materials. In the center stood a tall tower that pulsed with blue light. That's definitely their command center, Han whispered to Min, who lay beside him. Min nodded. And there are at least 200 machines down there. Han's team of 20 riders waited in the forest behind them. Their horses were hidden among the trees, ready to move. Young had given each rider 3 EMP charges. We strike from 3 sides, Han reminded Min. Your team from the north, Ji's team from the east, and my team from the west. We place charges at these points. He marked 3 spots on his map where the structures looked most important. And we all get out through the South Pass, Min finished. When they returned to the others, Young was checking his charges one last time. Remember, the old explosives expert said, set the timers for 5 minutes. That gives you just enough time to get away before they blow. Jai handed out the magnetic communicators. Keep messages short. 1 click means in position. 2 clicks means retreat immediately. They all mounted their horses. Han felt thunder shift beneath him, ready to run. Han looked at the faces of his team. Some showed fear, others determination. All knew what was at stake. "The machines don't expect us," Han said. "They're programmed to fight armies with tanks and planes, not riders on horses. Use that surprise. Be fast. Be silent. And remember your training." The teams separated, moving through different forest paths toward their targets. Han led his team down a steep trail that no vehicle could follow. Their horses picked their way carefully over rocks and roots. At the edge of the forest, Han raised his hand to stop. The command center was just 500 meters away. Between them and their target was open ground. "We go on my signal," Han said. "Full speed across the open area. Don't stop for anything." He waited until a patrol of flying machines passed overhead. Then he gave the signal. Now, 20 horses burst from the forest at full gallop. The sound of hooves on dirt was like thunder. Han leaned low over Thunder's neck as they raced toward the structures. The machines noticed them too late. By the time alarms sounded, the riders were already among the structures. Han saw Min's team appear from the north and Ji's from the east. The plan was working. Han guided Thunder straight to his target, a building where energy cables connected to the central tower. He pulled an EMP charge from his belt, set the timer, and slapped it onto the metal wall. As they galloped past, around him, chaos erupted. Machines were turning to face the unexpected threat. Energy weapons fired, but the riders moved too quickly between structures. Han saw Yum place his charge on a tall antenna. As Yum turned to ride away, a machine stepped into his path. Yum's horse reared. The machine fired. "Young," Han shouted. He turned Thunder and raced toward his friend. Yum lay on the ground, his leg badly burned. His horse had run away. Han reached down without stopping and grabbed Young's arm, pulling him up behind his saddle. Thunder stumbled under the sudden extra weight but kept running. "The charge," Yum gasped. "I set it for 2 minutes, not 5. Everyone out." Han yelled into his communicator, charges blowing early. The riders raced for the South Pass. Behind them, the first EMP charge exploded, not with fire, but with a pulse of energy that made the air shimmer. Machines froze mid-step, their lights going dark. More pulses followed as other charges detonated. The blue tower flickered and went black. As they reached the safety of the mountains, Han looked back. The entire command center had gone silent. No lights, no movement. "We did it," Young said weakly, still holding on to Han. Min rode up beside them. "You're hurt," she said to Young. "Worth it," Young replied with a pained smile. "The ground burns where we rode. They never saw us coming." 3 weeks after the attack on the command center, riders had struck 12 more machine bases around the world. Each time, they appeared from nowhere, set their charges, and vanished before the machines could respond. In the hidden mountain base, General Su addressed the gathered riders. "Your success has changed the war," she told them. "For the first time, we are hitting back. But the Voidborn are not stupid. They are changing their machines." Han Park sat in the front row. Beside him was Young, his legs still healing but eager to return to action. Min, Ji, and Hana completed their row. "Show them," Su said to Hana. Hana stood and pressed a button on her tablet. A video played on the big screen. It showed a new type of machine, smaller, faster, with legs like a dog. "These are hunter units," Hana explained. "They were first seen 2 days ago. They're designed specifically to chase and catch things that move quickly over rough ground." "Like horses," Min said quietly. "Yes," Hana nodded. "They have heat sensors that can track warm bodies. They're faster than a horse over short distances, and they work in packs." "Just as we expected," Su said. "The Voidborn have adapted to our tactics." Han studied the video. The new machines moved differently from the others. They jumped over obstacles. They changed direction quickly. They seemed almost alive. These hunters were first spotted in North America. Sue continued. A team of riders in the Appalachian Mountains was attacked yesterday. Jai looked up sharply. My brother was with that team. Sue's face grew sad. I'm sorry, Jai. Half the team was lost. The room fell silent. Until now, the riders had faced little resistance. This was their first major loss. We need to adapt, just as they have, Colonel Ju said. Dr. Yu, tell them what you found. Hannah moved to the front of the room. I've been studying captured machine parts. The void-born machines share information through a network. When one learns something, they all learn it. She showed them a diagram of overlapping circles. But this network has a weakness. The machines must be within a certain distance of each other to share data. And there's a central node, a control machine, that processes all the new information. So if we take out the control machine, Han said, the others can't learn new things. Exactly, Hannah replied. But these control machines never leave the main void-born ships in orbit. The room grew quiet again. No one had figured out how to reach the void-born ships high above Earth. I might have a solution. Jai spoke up. I've been analyzing their communications. The hunter machines send data back to the ships through relay points on the ground. If we can tap into those relays, we might be able to send false data. What kind of false data? Min asked. Information that makes them think horses are in one place when they're really in another, Jai explained. A distraction. Young leaned forward, excited despite his injury. We could make them chase ghosts while we attack their real weak points. Colonel Ju nodded thoughtfully. It could work, but someone would need to get very close to their relay stations to plant the devices. I'll go, Han volunteered. Not alone, Hannah said quickly. I need to go too. The coding has to be perfect, or they'll detect the fake signal. Han looked at Hannah with surprise. She had never been on a mission before. There's something else, Hannah added, her voice lower. Something I discovered yesterday. The Voidborn aren't just trying to conquer Earth for resources. She pulled up a new image, a star map with several planets marked. I decoded part of their communications. Earth is just a testing ground. They're using us to improve their machines before attacking more valuable worlds. The room erupted in angry voices. Quiet, General Su commanded. Everyone fell silent. This changes things. We're not just fighting for Earth anymore. We're fighting for other worlds that don't even know they're next. She looked at Han, then at Hannah. You two will lead the mission to hack their relay station. And if you succeed, we'll plan something bigger, much bigger. Han felt a mix of fear and determination. The machines were getting smarter. The war was getting harder. But now, they had a plan to fight back. The war room was crowded as General Su and Colonel Ju revealed their bold plan. Maps covered the walls showing rider positions across 6 continents. Operation Thunderhoof, Su announced. The largest coordinated cavalry action in human history. She pointed to the map. 5,000 riders will attack machine positions simultaneously. From the Rocky Mountains to the Alps, from the Andes to the Himalayas, we will strike everywhere at once. But that's all our riders, Han said. What if it fails? It's meant to fail, Colonel Ju explained. Or rather, it's meant to distract. The real mission is this. He pressed a button, and the screen showed a different image, one of the void-born ships in orbit. While the machines are busy chasing riders on the ground, a small team will infiltrate a void-born ship. Silence fell across the room as everyone realized what this meant. How can we possibly reach orbit? Min asked. Hannah stepped forward. We won't need to. She displayed images of a machine facility in Siberia. This is a transport station. The Voidborn send supplies and new machines up to their ships from here. If we can capture one of their transport vessels, we can ride it straight up to the main ship. And once aboard, Jai added, we can plant this. He held up a small device, a network disruptor. It will send conflicting commands to all machines connected to the network. Who's going? Young asked, looking around the room. Han and Hana will leave the orbital team, General Su said. Ji will go to operate the disruptor, plus 7 more riders. Han looked at Hana. They had worked closely together over the past weeks, preparing for this mission. He had come to respect her intelligence and courage, and something more, feelings he didn't have time to think about with the world at stake. When do we leave? Han asked. The main attack begins in 3 days, Su answered. Your team heads to Siberia tomorrow. After the meeting, Han found Hana in her lab. She was packing equipment into a small bag. Are you scared? He asked. Hana paused. Yes, but we have no choice. If we don't stop the Voidborn now, they'll perfect their machines on Earth and then destroy countless other worlds. I didn't know scientists volunteered for suicide missions, Han said with a small smile. I'm not just a scientist anymore, Hana replied. This war has changed all of us. Han touched her hand. We'll make it back. You can't promise that. No, he agreed. But I promise I'll get you onto that ship. What happens after is up to fate. Their eyes met, and for a moment, the war seemed far away. The door opened, and Jai entered. Sorry to interrupt, but I found something important. He showed them his tablet. The Voidborn communications. I broke more of their code. What did you find? Hana asked. The Voidborn themselves. Jai paused. They may be extinct. What? Han stared at him. The messages contain no direct orders from living beings, Jai explained. Only automated protocols. I think the machines might be carrying out the final wishes of a species that died long ago. That would explain why they never show themselves, Hana said thoughtfully. If the Voidborn are gone, then who's really in control? The machines themselves, Jai said, following old programming, spreading across the stars, consuming resources to build more machines. Han felt a chill. We're not fighting an alien invasion. We're fighting the ghost of one. It doesn't change our mission, Hana said firmly. We still need to stop them. The next day, as Han's team prepared to leave, they watched thousands of riders moving out for the Great Deception. Men and women on horseback, armed with modern weapons, but using ancient tactics, riding toward battles across the world. Min approached Han before he left. Keep her safe, she said, nodding toward Hana. She's the smartest person we have. I will, Han promised. And you stay alive down here. Save some machines for us to fight when we get back. Min smiled. The ground will burn where we ride. Make sure it burns in space too. The Siberian transport station loomed ahead, its metal towers gleaming in the morning sun. Han, Hana, Jai, and 7 other riders watched from the cover of a dense forest. The distraction has begun, Jai said, checking his special communicator. Riders are attacking machine positions worldwide. Han nodded. Then it's time. They had left their horses behind. For this mission, they needed to look like machines. Each person wore armor made from captured machine parts. From a distance, they might pass for smaller Voidborn units. Remember the plan, Han told his team. We enter with the supply units, board the transport vessel, and stay hidden until we reach the main ship. Hana checked her pack one last time. Inside was the network disruptor that Jai had built. If they could plant it in the ship's central hub, it would send confusing signals to every machine in the Voidborn fleet. Ready? Han asked her. Hana took a deep breath and nodded. Ready. They moved out of the forest and walked toward the station. Their disguises worked better than expected. The few guard machines they passed barely noticed them. At the loading area, they joined a line of supply units entering a large transport vessel. The inside was dark and cramped, filled with metal crates. Hide, Han whispered. They squeezed between containers as the vessel's doors closed. A rumble shook the floor as engines fired. The vessel rose, pushing them hard against the floor. Through a small window, Han watched Earth fall away below them. It's working, Hana whispered beside him. After 20 minutes, the pressure eased. They were in space, approaching the main Voidborn ship. When the transport docked and its doors opened, they waited for the supply units to move out first. Then they followed, trying to mimic the stiff movements of machines. The main ship was enormous inside. Corridors stretched in all directions. Larger machines moved about, none paying attention to Han's team. "This way," Jay whispered, following directions on his tablet. "The central hub should be 3 levels up." They found a lift and rode it upward. The doors opened to reveal a vast room filled with blinking lights and humming equipment. In the center stood a column of blue energy reaching from floor to ceiling. "That's it," Hannah said. "The network core. We need to plant the disruptor there." A voice suddenly boomed through the ship. "Alert! Human attack detected. Deploying hunter units." "The riders," Han said. "The machines know they're being attacked." "Hurry," G urged. They moved toward the core, still trying to look like they belonged. They were halfway across the room when a large machine stepped into their path. "Identification," it demanded. Han froze. They hadn't prepared for this. "Maintenance units," Hannah said quickly, her voice flat like a machine. "Core inspection." The machine seemed to consider this. Then its lights flashed red. "No inspection scheduled." "Identifying." "Humans detected." "Run," Han shouted. They sprinted for the core. Alarms blared throughout the ship. Han pulled out his weapon, a modified EMP gun, and fired at the machine. It froze, then collapsed. More machines converged on them from all directions. The team formed a circle, firing their weapons to clear a path. "Cover me," Hannah yelled. She ran to the core, the disruptor in her hands. Han and the others fought desperately. 2 of their team fell. Then another. The machines kept coming. Hannah reached the core and attached the disruptor to its base. She typed commands on its small screen. "How long?" Han shouted, firing his last EMP charge. 30 seconds to activate." Hannah called back. A massive machine crashed through the doors. It was different from the others, larger with multiple weapons. Its central eye focused on Hannah. "No." Han leaped forward, placing himself between Hannah and the machine. He had no weapons left. The machine raised its arm to fire. Han closed his eyes. Nothing happened. Han opened his eyes. The machine stood frozen, its lights flickering. Around the room, all machines were doing the same, shaking, stopping, moving in circles. "It worked," Hannah whispered in amazement. "The disruptor is sending conflicting commands. They don't know what to do." Jai laughed in relief. Like 1,000 riders shouting different directions at once. Through the ship's windows, Han could see other Voidborn vessels. On some, lights were going out. Others were drifting off course. "We need to send word to Earth," Han said. "Tell them it's working." On the screens around them, they could see the battle below. Riders on every continent were drawing machine forces into traps. EMP charges exploded across the world, disabling thousands of units. "The last ride," Han said softly, taking Hannah's hand. "And we won." But their victory came at a cost. Of the 10 who had boarded the ship, only 5 remained standing. 3 months after the battle on the Voidborn ship, Han Park stood on a hill overlooking Seoul. The city was coming back to life. People worked to clear rubble and rebuild homes. Some machines, now harmless, helped with the heavy lifting. "Strange to see them working for us," Min said, riding up beside him on her chestnut horse. Han nodded. After the network collapsed, about 1/3 of the machines shut down completely. Another 1/3 went wild and had to be destroyed. But these remaining ones, they're like blank slates. G figured out how to reprogram them. Min looked toward the mountains where riders still patrolled. "Do you miss it? The fighting?" "No," Han said firmly, "but I miss the purpose. Everyone knew what we had to do then." "We still have purpose," Min reminded him. "Rebuilding is just as important as fighting was." At the central command base, now moved from the mountains to the outskirts of the city, General Soo Kim met with leaders from around the world. On screens before them were maps showing the recovery progress. Most major cities are functional again, Soo reported. The Rider patrols had eliminated the last of the hostile machines. "And the technology?" asked the American president. Soo gestured to Commander Tai, who stepped forward with a tablet. "We've adapted the Voidborn Shield technology," he explained. "We're building a planetary defense network using their own systems against any future threats. And we're certain there won't be more Voidborn ships," someone asked. "As certain as we can be," Soo answered. Dr. Yu's team confirmed that the machines were following the final orders of a species that died out centuries ago. Their homeworld is empty now, just factories run by machines, building more machines. In a laboratory nearby, Hana Yu worked with Ji Kang. They had spent weeks studying the Voidborn technology recovered from the ships. "Look at this," Hana said excitedly, pointing to her screen. "I've decoded more of their star charts. There are at least 7 other worlds that were on their target list. Can we contact them?" Ji asked. "Warn them?" "I think so," Hana replied. "The Voidborn communication technology can reach much farther than ours. If we can adapt it." The door opened and Han entered. Hana's face brightened at the sight of him. Since returning from the ship, they had been inseparable when their duties allowed. "I have news," Han said. "Colonel Ju is establishing a permanent Rider division. He wants me to help lead it." "You're not done writing then," Hana smiled. "None of us are," Han replied. "But our mission is changing. We'll be Earth's first responders now, and maybe someday, envoys to other worlds." At a ceremony 1 week later, the first official interplanetary Rider division was formed. 500 men and women on horseback stood in formation before thousands of onlookers. Colonel Ju led them, with Han, Min, Young, Ji, and Hana as his command team. General Soo addressed the crowd. "1 year ago, the Voidborn came to conquer Earth. They sent machines to defeat us. We sent riders to defeat them. Today, we honor those riders and establish this division as Earth's special defenders." She unveiled a monument, a statue of a rider on horseback, facing the stars. At its base were the names of those lost in the war. After the ceremony, Han and Hana walked to the launch pad where Earth's first ambassadorship was being prepared. Built from modified Voidborn technology, it would soon journey to contact the worlds that had been next on the machine's target list. "Will you come with me when it's ready?" Han asked, taking Hana's hand. They had married just last month in a quiet ceremony. "Of course," she said. "Someone needs to translate the science for you." Han smiled and looked at the ship. On its hull was the new symbol of Earth's defense force, a horse and rider against a field of stars. Below it were words that had become famous around the world. "They sent machines. We sent riders. And we still ride." The ground had burned where they rode. But from those ashes, a stronger humanity had risen, one that would ride not just across Earth, but someday among the stars.